My job is to teach people how to teach themselves and to understand that what we're here for is to make music. Um, it happens that we might be doing this with a flute in our hands, but music is bigger than a flute. Music is bigger than any instrument. If you, some people can become so fixated on the instrument, um, but that's skilled labor. It's not art.
Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. Um, I, as I said, I have a whole pedagogy that I've written, and so I've written 3 books, which I've published myself. Multiple Breath Music Company, and I was told by commercial publishers that no, there just isn't sufficient interest. We couldn't make money on this, so I did it myself and did much better than if I had just let them do it and waited for the royalty check. It involves a great deal more energy going in, but there's much more reward coming out. I mean, last week I taught a master class at Penn State for 2 days, and it was incredibly satisfying that students are getting up, they're putting my music on a music stand, you know, and we're working on it, and they're putting themselves into it, and it's something I'd always dreamed about, and for a very long time I did all my own booking, and I have a representative now, but still, as I'm always telling folks, what you get out of your relationship with your representative is directly proportional to what you put into it. And I'm good friends with James Galway, and I know how much time he spends on his career, which is a lot, even at his level. Now he's grappling with numbers that are frankly a lot bigger than my numbers, but still, he knows very well that if he isn't putting energy into it, it will eventually roll to a stop, even though, of course, his phone is ringing. And I think that's very important for people to cognate on, that, you don't, reality isn't that, just practice, the world will come to you. It just isn't that way, and the bloodhounds of fate will not be sniffing at your door. So if you're waiting for them, you might be spending a lot of money on dog food, but it isn't going to help. So it makes much more sense to really learn how to market yourself. And I had a great difficulty at one time thinking in terms of the business terms, things like marketing, but I've made peace with it because it's reality. I mean, if we don't use those words, we just have to make up other ones that mean the same thing that other people won't understand. So we might as well use the ones where everyone knows what we're talking about. And I maintain a pretty large and elaborate website, robertdick.net. Please visit, and it's been a very helpful and useful tool. And I sell music and CDs through the site. I have a video demo of something I've invented, which is called the glissando head joint, which I'm marketing in partnership with a really good flute company. And if you're not going to do things like right in the standard way, and you are going to make your own path to whatever degree, you have to take an entrepreneurial approach. And I once was, as a student, I was tape editor on an oral history project in which Louis Armstrong told the story of his life and played his records. It was something done for the Armed Forces Radio in the 50s. And I was the lucky guy who got to be Willie Ruff's assistant. I carried the tape recorder, and in those days carrying the tape recorder meant carrying the tape recorder, as Willie interviewed John Hammond, interviewed U.B. Blake, and some other great old timers. And then I got to listen to this entire thing. Now, and Louis Armstrong took an entrepreneurial approach. You know, Louis Armstrong talking about, you know, when your fans write to you, you write to them. And there, you know, Louis carried a typewriter on tour. If you sent Louis a letter, you got a letter back, no matter who you were. You know, it might not have been instant, but he did get to you. And he would send it, you know, a little joke at the top of the page, and he would write back. And, you know, he never took people for granted. He never took his audience or his fans for granted. And, you know, I mean, again, this is hugely instructive in that, you know, he wasn't so successful only because he was a genius, you know, because he sure was a genius. He wasn't successful only because he was incredibly great and incredibly creative, but because he understood that he lived in a real world populated by other people. And he connected with them and responded to them. And that approach, of course, you could see every time he took the stage. I was incredibly lucky to have had that experience, and I learned a lot from mentors who are not just musicians. When I was working with Willie Ruff, you know, he said, you know, you can learn from everybody. If you watch 4 guys sweep the floor, one of them is going to do it better than all the others, you know. And it's so true. I mean, if your eyes and your ears, and most especially your mind and heart, are open, the world is full of lessons every day.